speaking of another trade, we got to talk about Deebo Samuel. The Washington Commanders, they traded a 5th-round pick to the San Francisco 49ers for Deebo Samuel, champ. Champ, I got to be honest with you, I'm not really all that excited about the pick. Does he add a running component to the offense? Yes. I do believe Cliff Kingsbury will do a great job utilizing Deebo Samuel. That ain't the problem. What have I told you before with my offense? My offensive line. Say what you always say, not on my pod, but everyone else's pod. Quarterback cannot what?
Throw on his back.
Now, in fairness to Washington, Jaden Daniels wasn't sacked that much. Washington's offensive line, to their credit, did a good job of protecting him. But there are other areas we need to address, champ. My defense, particularly the run defense. They were 30th in the NFL. We have to deal with Saquon twice a year. Not to mention, he did sign that record-breaking contract extension. Deservedly so. So for me, champ, I'm also not that excited because even you even called Deebo Samuel Manos de Piedra. Remember in that Thursday night football game in which he suffered against the Rams? Hey, am I lying?
No, you ain't lying. I was calling them hands of stone, and plus he was hitting them daiquiris and po' boys real hard at one point because it was noticeable. So
that's because he went with you.
Yeah, he was hanging out with me with daiquiris and po' boys, man. You know, them soft crab po' boy sandwiches is good, man. But look, y'all have an advantage this year. You want to know why? Deebo is in a contract year. So he playing for a contract. So players always go to try to either step up their game or going to have these otherworldly years when it comes to the contract year because they try to get paid. Deebo Samuels is a good second receiver. He's not going to have to worry about being the number one option. He's not going to have to worry about being utilized in every which way possible. I think people are going to lock in on Terry McLaurin, and I think that Deebo Samuels is going to do a good job. He will at least have a 1,000-yard season. Now, how great he is, are we going to see 2021 Deebo Samuels? It remains to be seen. But I think he's going to have a good year, especially, since he doesn't have to worry about being the number one option at this point. Now, there's a lot of things that I'm a little bit disappointed in your Commanders about because it's like Chicago been out here trading and willing and dealing for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, in order to rebuild their offensive line. They even was able to get Tooney from Kansas City for a 5th round for a 3rd round pick.
Let me go double check.
I think they got an all-pro offensive guard for a 3rd round pick. So I'm kind of disappointed because you got a second option at receiver, but
not to mention you've often said about the cap space that they have. They did a great job saving that much money in cap space.
Yes, they did a hell of a job. So the Chicago Bears, it seems like they went and got Tooney. They went and got the offensive guard from the Rams, and it seems like that the Washington Commanders have found a lag behind. I understand getting weapons, but those weapons aren't going to do you any good if your quarterback getting sacked 70 times a year.
A 4th round pick, champ.
Okay, so they got an offensive guard, all pro. This guy's been an all pro for the last 3 years for a 4th round pick. That should have been Washington. I understand you trying to get more weapons, but you need that line. You need them hogs. So, I'm a little bit disappointed in Washington. Granted, Deebo is a good pickup. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good pickup. I think he's going to add another dimension to their offense, especially if they don't end up re-signing Austin Eckler. If Brian Robinson ends up leaving, I think he's going to add a dimension to the running game as well. But y'all need a line. And you just lost Jonathan Allen. So you just lost 3 pass rushers in the past 3 years. Lost Montez, which you warned me about. We almost had him down there in Magic City, but guess what? We couldn't get him because Chicago snuck in and got him. Then Chase Young, he left.
Not mad at that. because
Yeah.
again, he had durability problems. And remember, champ, we didn't pick up his 5th-year option. And had he had a breakout season, then Washington, they would have paid him a hell of a lot of money like the Giants did with Daniel Jones. We didn't want to do that.
No, I ain't mad at that. Plus, his lack of his effort and lack thereof. We expected him to be a Mario Williams or a Julius Peppers, and he's been lackluster at best.
And Jonathan Allen, look, at some point he was going to leave because remember when he did that press conference after the Giants game a few years ago, that told me everything I needed to know. There was every bit of indication he wanted to leave Washington. And look, with the new organization right now, I am disappointed we have not addressed the offensive line. I actually thought with the new organization, with Adam Peters, Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, okay, to me, maybe they feel like they want to try to do something come draft or whatever. But you need to get some offensive line because, again, you have to protect your most valuable investment in Jade Daniels. But at the same time, we got to get some run stoppers, champ. And this is also a knock on Dan Quinn because last year, Washington, I'll repeat it again, they were 30th in the NFL in rushing defense. And let's not forget the job Dan Quinn did last year in his final year as a defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys with the run.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Arizona, you look at Philly, you look at Buffalo, you look at Green Bay, all those games in which they lost and they couldn't stop the run. The Philly game at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. When I look at Washington, Chip, I think they're probably going to take a step back because there's tape on them. I don't see them having the type of season that they had last season because there wasn't expectations for Washington. Now there are expectations. I believe Jaden Daniels will be okay. I still think they will compete for the playoffs. Who knows? We may win the division because even though that the Eagles are fully loaded, I'll bring it up, champ. When is it that a team in that division has won it back-to-back years? I'm talking about the NFC East division.
They have it.
Right. So, and plus, there is a little hope though because you talk about my Commanders not doing anything in free agency. No surprise with the Dallas Cowboys. They restructured Dak's contract, CD's contract. They saved up $56.6 million in cap space, and you ain't going to address anything in free agency.
If they were going to address anything, they should have addressed getting Devontae Adams to go outside of CD Lamb because that would have put them definitely in conversations that they needed to be in as far as the offseason Super Bowl is. But I don't know what Jerry is doing. I mean, Jerry. I mean, come on, bro. It's like I'm tired of you kind of, breaking mom's heart. You're breaking my mom's heart, man. My mom's a Cowboys fan, man. I'm getting tired of her getting mad at y'all on Sunday. Y'all got to do something. I mean, I understand. Now, I believe this move that the Dallas Cowboys did was to was to sign Micah Parsons.
Micah,
excuse me. Never get his name right. I think that them freeing up that kind of cap space was to re-sign Micah Parsons. That's what I believe that free up was for. To kind of kick the can on down the road a little bit. But as far as them making moves, y'all gotta do something. Y'all gotta do something. And I mean something drastic. I mean, Joey Bosa, he's in free agency. He's a reasonable pass rusher that you can add to this offense, add to this defense. There's a lot of moves in the draft that y'all can make. There has to be something that the Dallas Cowboys can do because guess what? America's team, y'all gotta do something. Y'all gotta do something fast because this is not gonna cut it.
as for Washington, champ, I am concerned. Because again, we still haven't addressed the needs after the 2024 season, which is offensive line and now defensive line. So we're gonna have to start by going into the draft or finding some guys in free agency that are available. We got to get some run stoppers. We got to find guys who can stop the run. We also got to get linebackers, and also we did re-sign Bobby Wagner. I do like that because Bobby Wagner is familiar with Dan Quinn's defense, and he is a leader of the team. So we need that type of leadership and stability if you're Washington. I just think with the offense, you're probably asking a lot more on Jaden Daniels' plate. And I think Jaden Daniels is highly capable, but at the same time, life would be a lot easier if you would just get him some more help with the offensive line. That's all I'm saying. And with the running back situation, am I sure of Brian Robinson Jr.? Because I know when healthy he is productive, but he also has durability problems as well as Eckler. And this is a really good running back class. There's Ginty. There's the running back from North Carolina, Cam Scatterbu. You said he's a combination of Christian McCaffrey and Mike Alstott. Mike Alstott. So I would like for Washington to address that area. And we did re-sign Zach Ertz. By the way, that's another issue that we have to address as well. As much as I like Zach Ertz, he's not going to be around forever. So I think for Washington, there's still more work to be done. Way more work to be done. But I am kind of concerned though, champ. Look, if you told me if I got the Deebo of old from 2019, 2021, this is an excellent move. This is still a good move though, champ. And to your point, a make it or break it year for him, a 1 year. Sometimes he needs to go to a different organization. He needs a rejuvenation. Just stay away from the daiquiris and po' boys and all that other stuff if you're Deebo. But champ, another weapon is not what we needed on the offense.
No.
We need an offensive line, and we need a defensive line. Because without those components, Washington is not going to get that far. They'll probably make the playoffs because obviously they're in much better circumstances compared to what they were with Daniel Snyder. But I got to say, unimpressed.
They got to say the same thing. Like I said, that line, because you're down to just one guy on that defensive line, and that's Deron Payne. And it's going to be hell if he start asking to be traded. So, got to watch your step, Washington. I know this is a new regime, and I know this y'all are doing everything you can to be correct in this situation. But you have to understand this. Winning is the best way to turn everything around. And the thing is, it's not like you didn't have a lot of cap space. Chicago went out there and just got it. They was aggressive. You got to be aggressive in this thing. This is not one of those drafts where you can afford not to be aggressive. That's why a lot of these teams are going out, trading and stealing from other teams. It's like, look, this is not that deep draft that I need. I think next year might be a better draft, but this draft ain't that deep. This ain't no deep draft that everybody's just clamoring over. You got the big names, but you have a great running back class. You have the big names, but you don't have, a draft where you can say, hey, this draft is so good. You can see somebody that was projected to be first going in the second. So Washington kind of